Welcome back. Towards the end of the previous part, we started speaking to our detective here, Shlomes, who has some goggles, which is quite interesting. Very Victorian in design, which obviously makes sense given the period and stuff. But we need to ask him more details, like Casimir's death. What do you know about this? Have you managed to deduce anything about this particular case yet? Have I managed to deduce anything? My dear fellow. Who do you suppose discovered the culprit in his most cunning hiding place? That's right. It was none other than the great detective before you now, Mr. Shlomes. I see, in other words. I'm in these now because of him. When I became anxious about Kazuma-sama this morning, I summoned all of the crew members to force the cabin door open. And I concealed myself among their number, gaining entry to the scene of the crime. Yes, luckily for everyone, the great detective, Shlomes, was on board. And the handcuffs seemed to be an excellent fit, Mr. Naruhodo. The very moment I laid eyes on the scene, two facts were immediately apparent to me. Really? Two facts, you say? Oh. Mr. Shlomes, tell us please. I do like that, like coming from the original trilogy and stuff like that. It's like, you actually see it update rather than it just being another option. It's like, you can see it progress. It's like, little quality of life and presentation changes are always nice. So Mr. Shlomes, tell us please. What two facts were apparent to you when you came to this cabin this morning? Yes, but first, let us be precise. The two facts in question were immediately apparent to me. Yes, I understand, but what were they? Allow me to elucidate. The two facts that I deduce from a mere momentary glance at the scene of the crime were as follows. Number one, the cabin was locked from within, rendering escape of the culprit out of the question. Number two, the victim was Russian and killed following a dispute with an acquaintance. But Mr. Shlomes, what made you think the victim was Russian? Observe the dying message left by the victim on the floor. Yes, that's the one. That is the Russian word for wardrobe. It seems like someone knows he's in the wardrobe and he wouldn't write it in Russian, would he? Because he was Japanese. Like, if he's dying, he's not going to write it in Russian. Which means it was after he was dead. Written by the guy at the door, probably. Do you really think Kazuma-san could have left a dying message in Russian? Exactly. In their final moments, many find their native tongue filling their head. This young man, Russian. He was Japanese. Kazuma was Russian, was he? Initially, I considered Garderob, maybe the name of the killer. Certain Robert Gard, perhaps. But in the interest of thoroughness, I decided it would be wrong not to look inside the wardrobe there at least. Where you found Mr. Naruhodo sleeping soundly. Quite so. I found you, the renowned Russian revolutionary killer. Why is that? Why is it that I'm Russian too? Like, yeah, it's like he's right. That's what I think was going on. He's right, it's just about the wrong person. I observed that you were wearing the same attire as the victim. In other words, you were acquainted. And if my memory serves, that outfit is the traditional dress of the Russian people. Are school uniforms are the traditional dress of the Russian people? I had no idea. I had no idea a detective could get something so wrong. I took a photograph of the victim and the message that I might analyze it for possible hidden details. This was taken immediately after the young man was discovered, before the body was removed. Yes, Kazuma had already been taken away when I woke up. It's the first time I've actually seen him like this. Are you alright, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, yes, thank you. Photograph of the crime scene has been entered into the court record. The Russian word for wardrobe in purple ink. It would appear to have been written in the victim's final moments. Can I ask you something, Mr. Shlomes? What, pray? You mentioned Russia before as well, didn't you? You know, when you said I was a fearsome revolutionary fleeing from Russia and all of that. Ah, yes, the train of reasoning that led me to the truth. Would you mind explaining that train of reasoning to me, do you think? What? Certainly, if it interests you. How many times? I'm not Russian, and I don't speak Russian. Your deduction just now. Can we talk about your deduction before? The things you've concluded about me, I mean. Ah, a now famously accurate, troubling predicament you find yourself in. Actually, it was the other details that I was more hoping to discuss. You know, the merciless Russian revolutionary and assassin of 16 part? Ah, yes, the more sordid details. It was a fairly commonplace deduction. Here we have this morning's paper. The main headline reads: Revolutionary villain Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. Shanghai, you say? This vessel made a port call at Shanghai yesterday, and last night the young Russian was murdered. Since when was Casimir a Russian? Sounds like Mr. Shlomes has concluded he was Russian because of what Casimir-sama wrote on the floor. It's a simple act of reasoning to realize that the culprit of this crime was the same merciless revolutionary. One who would kill the very man who helped him to escape after his true identity was discovered. It's like, yeah, you can see how he's pieced this together with abduction, not deduction. And it makes sense, but it's like, wrong person. That's what I'm coming down to. It's like, wrong person. Yes, you, villain Bolshevik. No. How could it be me? I don't look anything like this man. Just look at this face. Well, you are a fearsome revolutionary after all. And therefore, you have no doubt learned to revolutionize your appearance as well. Oh, please. Yeah, now you've gone into crazy talk. And I might add, your name does not appear on the ship's passenger list. Need I say more? Well, that's because I'm a stowaway. What about the other details? The 16 victims of assassination and blowing up the Crystal Tower. Not the Crystal Tower. Ah, yes. The journalist clearly interviewed the man and printed all those particulars in the article. The deeds the man has perpetrated thus far, and those he is plotting. Yes, everything about this revolutionary Bolshevik was included. There could be no mistake. Do revolutionaries usually agree to interviews with newspaper reporters, I wonder? No. What about the part where you said I was just returning from Afghanistan? That's a reference. Also quite clearly stated here in the article. Bolshevik is recently returned after a period of subversive activities in a war-torn region of Afghanistan. Where even is it, anyway? This Afghanistan place. Here, take the paper for yourself. As a little memento of this great deduction. Oh, thank you. I've absorbed all that is of interest to me within its pages, but I see no rubbish bin nearby. The article about the revolutionary has been entered into the court record. Alright. And you may find the article on the back page of interest as well. On the back? Cast your eye over it sometime if the interest takes you, though you may need someone to interpret. It's all written in Russian. I couldn't hope to read it. Suppose it wouldn't hurt to just glance at the article. Maybe there might be a picture or two. Well, alright, it's court record. Because that's clearly a look at the back situation. So it's going to be about him, isn't it, in the crown situation. This is interesting. Have you found something relevant, Naruhodo-san? Well, no, I mean, it looks like it might be interesting. Can't read a single word, I'm afraid. It's all squiggles. No, nor can I. Look at this picture. Perhaps it's about a beautiful young Russian princess, do you think? She is very pretty, isn't she? With the crown, I imagine. Suppose you enjoy articles like this, do you? I don't know. I can't make any sense of it. Ah, I'm glad you noticed this article. Yeah. Allow me to give you a short summary of its contents. Oh, thank you. Pops up everywhere, this Mr. Shlomes. It's about the disappearance of a young lady last night. Renowned prima ballerina of the TWIT ballet disappears from Shanghai. During a performance in Shanghai, the famous dancer was reported missing. She's, of course, the talented young Nikolina Pavlova. My Russian name's so hard to remember, and hard for me to pronounce. I'm terrible with names, aren't I? It's me, that's the issue. It would appear the woman was in costume when she was found to be missing from her dressing room, wearing the diamond tiara you see pictured, which is worth some 20,000 rubles. Oh, how much is 20,000 rubles? I have no idea, but quite sure it must be an unbelievable sum of money. Depends. Suzuto-san's eyes are shining like diamonds themselves. The tiara is the property of the TWIT ballet. It would seem the director is beside herself with worry. Yes, I'm not surprised. The company is most anxious to recover both Miss Pavlova and the valuable tiara. I imagine they're more interested in the tiara, to be honest. They've requested international assistance at all ports with sailings to Great Britain. Could this be another case of a Russian fleeing his or her country? It does seem to be the Russian thing to do. I'm not even going to dignify that with a response, Mr. Naruhodo. The article about the ballerina has been entered into the court record. Alright. Is there anything else? We may as well have a look. I'm afraid I can't read a word of Russian. No, me neither. No idea what any of this says. The pair of you floundering is a sorry sight. Allow me to offer some assistance. The article on the front page of this newspaper is concerned with a fearsome Russian revolutionary. It reads, Revolutionary Violin Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. Yes, you told us that before. It reveals also that those who see the man's beard with their own eyes never live to tell the tale. Oh my goodness, he is fearsome. Well, presumably the newspaper photographer was alright, wasn't he? The solution is obvious, of course. If he despises his beard to that degree, he only needs to shave it off. I'm not quite sure that's the problem, Mr. Shlomes. Okay, anything... I do like that we get a magnifying glass, but it's like... It's not really going to help us here, is it? Ah, these must be remnants of the glue you used to stick the paper seal on the wardrobe. That's right, it was pulverized rice. Pulverized rice? Yes, I pulverized some of the rice from my evening meal, even though it broke my heart. Broke your heart? What do you mean? Remember, I'm a stowaway on the ship. All I had to eat were Kazuma's leftovers. Even a couple of grains of rice could have meant the difference between life and death. Oh my, it must have been awful for you, Naruhodo-san. But I have some glue with me. As it happens, you're welcome to use it this evening. Oh, thank you very much. Not that we need it this evening, no? Keep out. You drew the character for this paper seal, didn't you, Naruhodo-san? With such bold, vivid strokes you made. I'm looking at a man who came aboard inside a trunk. Those brushstrokes needed to make a statement. If they found me in that wardrobe, those Russians would have hurled me into the freezing cold ocean. I'm sure none of the crewmen would have done anything like that. Well... Not so sure. It would have forced you to wash dishes in the galley until you were on death's door or something like that. Wash dishes until I was on death's door? That's a lot of dishes. It is a lot of dishes. Don't know if we need that one because it's sort of like, it would be the same as that one, so. I think we're done with that, aren't we? So, right, back to this. What you were just investigating. Before we started talking, you were examining Kazuma's desk, weren't you? Kazuma? Ah, yes, the victim. Did you notice anything useful? Anything at all? observe for a moment the desktop of the victim. We see the victim was engaged in penning some text. London diary, as was keeping notes on the trip. But I don't think you should read his private writings. It could upset people. Tragic. And something you ought to perhaps elucidate before the act of reading. You mean you read it already? It is my business to know what other people do not. Yes, believe it or not, I know a smattering of Japanese. Oh, I see. Well, you're about to know what a Susato takedown is. Susato-san? Aren't you going to throw the detective with one of your trademark takedowns? I'm sorry, Naruhodo-san. What on earth do you mean? Life is so unfair. Anyway, to return to the matter at hand, namely this diary belonging to the victim. It would appear the final sentence is incomplete, as if the author were cut short. Tell me, what's the nature of the writing? Pray be precise as to the details. Oh, but I thought you knew Japanese. A smattering, dear boy, a smattering. Sayonara, bonsai, mikado, nado. I trust you're suitably impressed. This diary is littered with complicated-looking characters of which I can read precisely none. So what was all that showing off about before, then? If you would be so kind as to show me, I would be happy to read it to you, Mr. Shlomes. I am much obliged. My dear madam. The final entry here in Kazuma-sama's diary consists of just 2 short sentences. The first reads, 1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound. A whistling sound? So very deep waters. Pray, go on. The second sentence reads, 1:35 a.m. What looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. Speckled band? What on earth does that mean? I have no idea. I never heard that expression before. The ventilator grill, you say? The man was presumably referring... Yep. To the lattice then on the wall, which connects to the adjoining cabin. Yes, the adjoining cabin. Kazuma's diary has been entered into the court record. Something caught in the back of my throat. So, I believe I've given you enough to consider for the time being, at least. I mean, not really. You're not giving me that much. Do you have somewhere to go? As it happens, the victim's writings in his diary have piqued my interest. The matter warrants further investigation, I believe. And if I am still too long, seasickness takes hold. Oh, I suppose. You're thinking of investigating the cabin next door, which the ventilator connects to. Great detectives are a curious breed. Our minds rebel at stagnation. We crave mental exaltation. So yes, I intend to investigate. Hence, the truth will become clear soon enough. Do you think perhaps that we could go with you? No, that would be somewhat complicated. What? But why? A simple glance at your wrist should reveal the answer. Oh, these. After all, you're the prime suspect in this matter. No? There's no point trying to turn it into a question. You're the one who decided I was the culprit in the first place. Whatever do you mean? I have no recollection of naming you as a culprit at any point. So who the hell did? You must be joking. You just said it. Where do you want me to go? Dear me, you are clearly misguided. I would have no cause to say such a thing. Well, actually, Mr. Shlomes, I did hear you say that too. You're quite sure? Well, that's very strange. I wouldn't have said you had the face of a criminal, you know. Not really. So what, were you looking at my knees before? Like, some great detective you are. Well, anyway, that was then and this is now. What do you mean? What I mean, sir, is this. If you are the culprit, then you must play the part more convincingly. Roll over and accept your fate. Now he's just being plain rude. And off he goes, having just laughed in my face. Sense of humor's as twisted as his name. Humor's got a U in it. Like, yay! Now, Hoda-san, what are you just standing there for? I must go and investigate the cabin next door as well. Aren't you forgetting something? What about these? Did she just rip them off? After Kazuma-sama spent his dying moments struggling to leave us a clue. You're willing to give up? You're just going to roll over and accept your fate? As if you gave me any choice in the rolling over part. I think we still have some investigation to finish off in here first, don't we? Let's carry on examining what we can in this cabin while we wait for a chance to slip next door. Good idea. The situation doesn't look good for me, but there are still things I can do to help myself. And I owe it to Kazuma to do everything I can to find a way out of this, and bring the real culprit to justice. Bill? Is something wrong, Nadahoda-san? Yeah, someone looks familiar. Oh no, it's just the crewman standing by the door. And I'm feeling like I've seen him somewhere before. Oh yes, you're right. It does look familiar. Excuse me, sir? Yes, what can I do for you? I recognize that face, but it can't be. It is. So he's our gumshoe. I didn't know you were here, Inspector Hasanaga. So what does Hasanaga mean? Someone let me know. Just trying to, like, equate it to be like, how is he gumshoe? He's gonna be gumshoe. The equivalent of. Hello again. What are you doing here? I think that should be my line. I was so stunned when I saw you, my heart stopped. Nearly stopped, I hope. I received some special orders to go undercover as a member of the crew and board this ship. Again? You certainly seem to enjoy undercover work, Inspector. If there's anything I can do to help you, please ask. I never expected to see this man on board. Perhaps his presence can help me out of this hopeless situation. Alright, let's converse. Special orders? So what are your special orders this time, Inspector? Yes, and why are you dressed as a member of the crew? I'm so sorry. This is all my fault. I take full responsibility. For what? My orders were to act as Asagi-san's bodyguard. You did a great job, didn't you? It was Minister of Justice Jigoku who pushed for this overseas study tour to go ahead. And he entrusted me with ensuring that Asagi-san reached Great Britain without being assassinated. Who the hell was trying to assassinate him then? Assassinated? How could that have even been a possibility? Well, clearly it was. I'm not sure. These are complicated times. There are tensions between the world's greatest powers. It'll be fine. I'm sure it won't bubble over into anything that, you know, results in too big sort of complications, let's call it that. Minister Jigoku said we should be prepared for all eventualities. This is incredible. I don't believe it. Kazuma-sama was assassinated? Obviously, we couldn't give Asogi-san a visible security escort. Which is why I'm undercover now, posing as one of the crew. I see. And I didn't take my eyes off him the entire time we've been on board, from morning until night every day. But I never imagined it would happen here inside his own cabin, not here on the first-class deck. I failed miserably at my assignment, and Asogi-san is dead as a result. I'm a disgrace. All I can do is humbly apologize. Inspector? So if there's anything at all that I can do to help now, just say the word. Permission to investigate, please. We're doing what we can to investigate Kazuma's death ourselves. I thought you might be. You didn't do it, did you? You're not the killer. Of course not. We'd really like to investigate the cabin next door. Yes, so we need to be allowed out of this cabin. I'm sorry. What? You've been deemed a risk to the ship's safety. If you move to even touch the handle of the cabin door... What? That stormy-looking seaman there would surely snap your neck in two. I suppose I'm not just a stowaway now. I think I'm a moiderer as well. Would it be possible to give me something to work with, do you think? Or to need something persuasive? What do you mean? I had a solid reason why the next door cabin should be investigated, for example. I'd do everything I could to persuade the captain to allow it. Really, I'd lay my life on the line if I had to. But I don't see how. There may be a way. What? Really? Think how you tried to persuade me of your innocence, Naruhodo-san. By presenting me with a piece of evidence that you had already had in your possession. Evidence? It's just the same as when you were in court. You must have done it many times during your trial. Simply select the Present panel and choose some evidence that Inspector Hasanaga could use. So, evidence that would give us a viable reason to investigate the next door cabin, is it? I'm assuming it's the diary, because that's what led Herlock Shlomes, trying to remember his name there, Herlock Shlomes next door, so... Alright, yes, I think I may know what we can use. Let's see if I can present the detective with the evidence he needs to persuade the captain. Alright, so let's present that. How do I present that? Hold on a minute, back up, present. There we go. That's not what I wanted. What's that? It's Kazuma's diary. Just before he died, Kazuma-sama wrote something rather strange in his diary. Strange? In what way? He wrote, what looks like some kind of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. A speckled band? That is strange. Yes, we're still trying to work out what he meant by that, but what I'd like to know is... Don't tell me. The ventilator, is it? You're very astute, Inspector. The ventilator clearly joins to the next door cabin. That's right, so if we could investigate it there, we might be able to work out what that speckled band was. Alright then. I can't leave this cabin at the moment. I'm stuck here until we arrive at the next port. Captain has given me strict orders to guard the scene of the crime, you see. I'll have to entrust the investigation to you. Really? You're willing to do that? Yes. As long as you don't leave the first class cabin area. Afraid I can't remove those handcuffs, though. But what about the captain? Aren't you going against his direct orders? I'm a man of my word. And I promise you that I'll lay my life on the line if that's what it takes to convince the captain. After all, I failed to keep Asogi-san safe. It's the least I can do. Thank you. Let's seize the moment then, Naruhodo-san. Just like move, we can leave this cabin at last. Move. Alright, let's see what we can find out. Alright, so we finally got the move option, have we? Which is a little sort of like cabin. Horse-drawn cabin thing. Carriage, that's the word I'm looking for. Carriage. Passageway that connects the first-class cabins on the SS Burya. Well, let's go.